We can do anything from duct work, like we can build the chillers,
Yep.
we can build piping. I mean, anything in the mechanical space we can handle.
You create this value, and we hear them out because it's always nice to know how they look at your companies and how they perceive value and what we need to make adjustments to maximize value, right? And so what I do is I go in there and say, hey, I have this idea. What kind of value would this create if we actually executed the idea?
The stuff that we're getting into now with Javelin is on the small end of everything that I've done in my career.
Javelin Critical Operations.
Yeah.
That's kind of a cool name. Can you tell us how we came up with that name? That was Kevin and Craig's name that they came up with.
Yeah, there's an inside joke behind it. It's chilled water systems. They have temperature and pressure sensors via a small probe that is inside the pipe, and it reads the flow, reads the temperature. The company that built this pipe, they're supposed to have a welded attachment point for that thing to thread in. They didn't do that. And then also before you flush, which means you're just pumping fast water through a system to clean it, you need to take those out because it's a lot more pressure than what normal operating conditions are. So nobody did that, and these probes snapped off and started flying down the processed water system towards basically a copper air conditioning coil. And so these things are bouncing around in there, and that's where we caught Javelin. We said we have an $8 probe flying around like a javelin, getting ready to take a hyperscale data center to its knees.
How much would that have cost?
Oh, if it would have got to a coil, each one of those is a couple $1 million a piece, and there's dozens of them. Yeah.
So, the neat thing about these opportunities, I don't know anything about mechanical, and that's when if you start a key business, something I don't recommend getting into something you don't know. What I do know is how to build service companies. What I do know is how to build businesses. What I do know is when you start something you don't know, you better get people that you trust. You better get high-end professionals that know what the freak they're doing. Especially if you're bidding on jobs that, they're anywhere from $1 million all the way up to $350 million jobs, which is super exciting in my world. You know what I mean? Because, you might spend your whole life, with an on-call. Eric and I have been beating our head against the wall for how many weeks now?
It's crazy. I mean, essentially, I think what you're alluding to is, I spent 6.5 years of my life grinding and grinding and grinding. We have a very, very good business, so I'm not discounting that, right? But there is real things going on in the data center world that you can scale up. You have to get in, right? Getting in is the most critical point.
And hardest
point. And you got to have financials, too. You can't just get in there if you don't have proven track record of business, right? You have to have a high amount of insurance. You have to have proven track record. They have their vetting process pretty good, as they should, right?
Yeah.
We're dealing with extremely large projects. So because we had that and we got to this point, we got in, right? And what we figured out really quickly is that it's like the new oil boom, right? Things are changing so fast, and they have an enormous amount of money because they're making an enormous amount of money. That to get these projects up off the ground takes a ton of people and a lot of very specialized people. And that's just what I'm so excited about, is because just in this area, right, there's probably 10 data centers in our general area here that are going up.
I forgot what the $1 billion. There's some,
so what's happening?
30 billion or something.
So crazy. What's happening, right? And this is why I think the timing is so critical with where we're at. Is what's happening is that they're wanting to build, because you have Metas, you have Googles, you have Microsoft, you have Amazon, you have
NVIDIA,
you have all of these hyperscale plants that are trying to get built. And the problem is that there's more money in building all of these things, and there's not enough specialized trades to be able to complete these in the time frames that they're looking for, right? And there's not enough specialized people like Kevin over here and Craig, who have got a lot of experience in doing that. So if you can get in, number one, and get into one of these trades, right? Plumbing, electrical, probably even concrete, tilt-ups, cranes, anything in the data center world. I mean, there is just not enough labor to be able to meet the demand that all of these hyperscale data centers and regular data centers are requesting. So,
but you can't just wake up one day and decide to to service one of the largest projects probably in each state is a data center right now.
100%.
Yeah.
And wake up and say, hey, I think I'm going to go from 0 to 100,000, not just 0 to 100, 0 to 100,000 overnight and develop all these skill sets overnight. You can't do that.
Yeah, you can't.
You can't. And that's what's cool about our partnership, right, is there's a lot of gatekeepers to the industry, and no single one of us has everything to get through all of them.
Yeah, exactly.
So it takes that, and it's, some of it's coincidental. I'm not from here. I was a traveler. I was here staying in a rental house and going back home to Tennessee, and now we're selling that house and we're moving here, and you got to just keep your eyes open for those opportunities.
Yeah.
Same with Craig. He's not here. He's the fourth partner in this adventure, but him and I worked together on a job in Wyoming over 10 years ago. Like, hadn't talked to him since. And then here he is in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Like, what are the
And he's
odds?
not even from Tulsa.
No.
He's from Colorado.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so here we are today, and what we're offering is the same kind of mentality as what OnCall had, where we wanted to encompass a bunch of different rentals, right, and make it simple for the end user, whoever the customer is. Well, with all of his experience and Craig's experience, we were able to, and we have enough expertise to fully encompass the mechanical space, right? And there's extras off top of that as well too that I was already doing that are going to fall under the Javelin scope as well too, that I have personal experience in, that is really going to make what we do very, very special. There's not going to be a lot of people who can actually fully encompass all of these.
Well, why don't we?
scopes.
But if you're watching and you are working on a data center, or a friend that's working on a data center, or you work for a company that's servicing a data center, and you might need one of our skills, one of our services, listen. Right now is the time to listen, because Kevin's going to give you a full explanation from the very start of the process to the very end of the process of what Javelin can do for you if you're watching and you may need one of these. And you don't have to take them all. You can take one segment. You can take the whole full turnkey thing, which is what we would like to do.
Yep.
But we're also attacking it and say, hey, because, we're a new company, so a lot of these jobs have already started, right? But they're still trying to find certain people to take on certain tasks within these jobs, depending on what level they're at.
Yeah.
New data centers, we're obviously trying to go and take the whole scope of work.
Right. So Javelin, yeah, we're a licensed and fully capable mechanical contractor. Everything that falls under Division 23 mechanical, for those of you that know engineering specs, architectural specs. But we're not trying to compete with the prime contractors, and we're trying to leverage our specific experience around data centers and more high-tech industrial buildings. So, one of our flagship services is around the flushing of chilled water systems. It's a relatively small portion of a project, but it happens at one of the most critical parts of the project, and it's also a very complex technical operation that your general construction mechanical guys just don't have a lot of experience in, mainly because you don't get a lot of opportunities in most construction types. So what we do is we provide a turnkey system for this chilled water flush and chemical treatment that provides an engineered plan where we do a hydraulic model. We understand which valves need to be open, which valves need to be closed, make sure there's no dead legs. Hopefully I'm not losing your entire audience here.
No, you're not.
It probably sounds pretty boring now that I think about it, but it's a really challenging process that most people don't think about and don't plan until it's time to do it. And then you're right at the commissioning stage of the project. It's the most risky part of the schedule. It's when the client is at their peak of just being in everybody's business, because they know this is what triggers them to be able to take their asset, their new capital asset, and make it start printing money, essentially, in the case of data centers. So and that's where you end up with problems like the Javelin. The story behind Javelin, that's exactly how that happened, is that there wasn't a detailed plan, there wasn't enough forethought. So next thing you know, an $8 part is about to take down an entire system.
And that's what I'm learning too, is because Kevin and I office next to each other, luckily for Kevin. So I ask him every day, how's it going?
Yeah.
Where are you at? What are you bidding on?
Yeah, well, I don't want to leave out. There's, to Kevin's point, right? That is, we have a lot of expertise in that, right? And we can do anything from duct work, like we can build the chillers,
Yep.
we can build piping. I mean, anything in the mechanical space we can handle. and we do have a lot of experience in. And to boot, we also are very, very capable waste haulers and delivery of any kind of bulk waste, any kind of bulk water, and we're doing mass, as you heard from my story earlier. Like I just got an RFP, which I put a bid in for today, that does 500,000 gallons of water delivery a day for 28 days. That's a metric crap ton, right? Mm-hmm. So there's not a lot of people in the United States that understand that, the logistics to it, the amount of assets to be able to even accomplish that. There's just not a lot, right?
Exactly.
So, we have some very interesting niches in our Javelin company, and a lot of expertise. We have a track record. I mean, we have everything that is needed. So we're hyper scaling our business here and getting off the ground, and we're already really just making a definite scene already. Right? I'm getting people calling me. So watch out for us. If you need us, we're going to be here, and we're going to solve your problems for you.
And 100%. The craziest thing to this whole thing to me, go back to what I was telling you, is just wild, is, Eric and I spent a lot of hours and heartache and time and just what it takes to build a business to On-Call's magnitude where it is right now at the speed that we did, and still being able to maintain our service, still be able to maintain our clients, and still be all the way through the whole process, right? And then that creates a certain amount of value for your company. So you go in there, you do all the things you want to do, and then people start calling you, private equity, and all these guys start calling you. And if you're my competitor, no, we haven't sold, and no, I haven't got a big old fat check. So we still own the company. Yeah. That's probably not good for you.
Yeah, no, it's not.
But it's still under our control. Yeah. So you create this value, and we hear them out because it's always nice to know how they look at your companies and how they perceive value and what we needed to make adjustments to maximize 100%. Value, right? What's the craziest thing to this whole thing is you can spend 7 years in whatever space you're in, and you can go get into a space that is hot. When I mean by hot, all the majors want to be in it, all the private equity wants to be in it, all the angel investors want to be in it, and the services are needed at a rapid scale. Yep. And you can create a crazy amount of value with an idea. Yep. You hear about those people all the time.
Well, let's be specific, because it's kind of interesting. And this is where I'm glad you rounded that back out, because I got a little lost in the sauce. But is what it took me 7 years of heartache and grind and nights of no sleep and everything else. We've been able to create the same amount of value in 6 months.
Potentially. With what Kevin and them are going to get, that's why he hears my beautiful little face walk in there and say, "Hey, you got any contracts? Hey, you got any contracts?" Because what we're good at, what Eric and I are good at, is I'm good at understanding value, is how to create value. And what I want to do for our partners, and we don't have any investors, but what I want to do for our partners is I want to create the maximum amount of value that I can in the shortest amount of time.
Yeah.
And so what I do is I go in there and say, "Hey, I have this idea. What kind of value would this create if we actually executed the idea? And then what do you look at when we do execute? And how do we maximize it even further?"
Yeah.
And then what are the levels to it? If we do 1 through 5 million, it's worth this. If we do 10 million, it's worth this. If we do 50 million, it's worth this. Right? Mm-hmm. And that's what we're starting to understand is there's a lot of money in this space. There's a lot of money wanting to get in this space. The kicker is there's a lot of people that are in our stage, just to be honest with you. We're doing some stuff underneath the On-Call brand right now in the data center space, and that once this contract is complete, we'll move those assets over to Javelin, and any contracts going forward per our agreement will be underneath Javelin, right?
Right.
But once we prove, and he's going to do it, he wouldn't be quitting a large-scale paying W-2 employee job to come over here if he didn't think he was going to do it. Once we execute 1 or 2 of these, you can create a lot of value really quickly. Yeah. And that's when Eric was saying, you can create what we took us 7 years to do. We can create that together with 1 or 2 smaller, medium-sized contracts real fast.
Yeah.
I think we're going to do it in 6 months.
What do you think, Kevin? You think we're going to do it in 6 months?
Oh yeah, for sure.
See?
I mean, it's kind of funny. We talked about thinking bigger, and the stuff that we're getting into now with Javelin is on the small end of everything that I've done in my career. So while we're thinking big as far as a business and a startup and branching out on our own kind of thing, it's actually really conservative, small scale stuff compared to what I've done. It's so that's kind of nice. There's like an extra level of comfortability that comes with it. So while it may be bigger than what took 7 years with the on-call service business, it's still small compared to, think of like the general contractor's contract value on one of these 1 gigawatt data centers. You're talking billions of dollars.
Yeah. Yeah, he reminds me all the time, and he's like, I'm used to spending billions. And he goes, we're going after scopes of works that are $5 million and $2 million and $7 million and $20 million. He goes, these are easy.
Right.
And for myself, I'm assuming Eric's going to agree, it actually makes me feel a little bit more comfortable too.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, what I do is I know how to build businesses and I know how to operate them, right? So I'm like in the $50 million contract, that's a lot of freaking movement. That's a lot of equipment. That's a lot of employees. That's a lot of systems. That's added insurance, added risk. And onboarding that at that speed, there's a lot. You better know what the hell you're doing.
Yeah.
There's a lot of variables in there to fall apart real quick.
It's still going to be a lot of work. Let's not get it twisted. It's still going to take a lot of people and a lot of effort and a lot of planning, a lot of risk management. But still, I've spent most of my career managing other people's big contracts, and this would be, on the small end of that.
Yeah, and what's neat about Craig's not here, but there's Kevin and Craig. Kevin was more the manager, so was Craig, but more the business side of it, the contractual, setting up the payment terms, setting up the scope of works, and the systems of when those things, the completion dates, etc., and making sure people are staying within their fields and making sure people are performing. And then there's Craig. He's actually more like a mechanical engineer type guy. He's more...
Yeah, he's got more technical hands-on experience. He's the one that holds our license for Javelin. He's got everything from hands-on startup, fixing issues, troubleshooting pumps, to also, being that kind of more business corporate management role, on these big contracts. So
he has a master mechanical license.
Yeah. Yeah, he holds the license. He's certified in almost everything we'll ever need to touch. Factory certifications, OEM certifications, and 2 different personalities too. Yeah,
it's funny, but we kind of wanted to give you up to date. To recap, kind of this whole thing is, just continue to do the right thing. People say, I hate this word luck, but people say you get lucky, and people say this, and you fell into this. I call that bullshit all day long. What I say is, you got to play the game, to get a little bit of luck. And it's not luck, is you got to be able to play that game and sharpen that mind. So when you see an opportunity and you can identify the opportunity and you have sharpened that blade so sharp, and you built this team up behind you that you have the wherewithal to go take that risk, and because you identified it, you have the team support it, and you have the know-how to do it and execute it. And that's exactly what we're doing with Javelin. That's exactly what we did with many other businesses that we started over our career that have been very successful. So Javelin is going to be very successful. We got the right team. Is it going to happen as fast as we want it to happen? No, I wish it would have happened yesterday.
Yeah.
But it's going to happen the way it needs to happen. Right? We're going to bid these things to make money. We're going to go hire the right people, get the best equipment. Our mindset is we only want the best. We want the best equipment, best software, best opportunities, best everything. I don't go in there. I drive the best truck. I have a really nice. I like having nice stuff. You know what I mean? And I like providing the best service, and it comes with a price.
Yeah.
So that's our mindset at Javelin. It's not going to happen. Probably not going to happen as fast as I want it to happen.
Yeah, and I mean, for your listeners and people that, let's not paint the picture that this is some magical thing that just happened by luck. You guys have been doing what you're doing. I've spent the last 15 years really pushing myself, even as a W-2 employee. It's not like I've just been clocking into an office and sitting at a desk. I've lived and worked in 6 different states in the last 12 years, done over $10 billion worth of contract value, a lot of traveling. Half of the last 10 years have been spending most of my time out of state, not even at my home. So if I didn't do all of that and go where I needed to be to have the best opportunities for myself and gain this knowledge, this opportunity wouldn't mean anything for me because I wouldn't have what I needed to act on it.
Exactly. You sharpen your skills from it. And you just hit something that's massive. Because sometimes I feel like Eric and I lose sight on what it really means to be an entrepreneur. Because we've been entrepreneurs for so dang long now. I've been working for myself in some capacity, in full capacity, since I was 23.
Yeah.
But I've been starting businesses almost 18, 17, doing some kind of hustle. Your path is completely different. Kevin is in his 30s, and he just now jumped off that cliff.
Mm-hmm.
Which is, in my opinion, it's a lot harder to jump off that cliff later on than it is early.
Yeah, wait till you have a kid and a mortgage or 2 mortgages and 3 houses in different states and a lot of obligation. So, yeah, it's a different path for everybody. Some people will start when they're 20. Some will start when they're 38 like me. Some will start when they're 50. Some will start after they retire their W-2 job, It's a different path for everybody, but that doesn't mean it's not still good, If you got to keep your eyes open for the opportunity, you can't necessarily control when it comes along, right?
Well, he was like, I knew it was probably a good fit when he said, I'm getting tired of making everybody else millions. It's time to make mine. I was like, you know what? I said the same thing.
Yeah.
And when you're making the kind of money he was making as a W-2 and job, and you're making what I'm paying him right now, and knowing that he has all these obligations, and like, I'm not going to get in his personal life, but he has some other serious matters that's going on with his wife and some other things, people make excuses all the time. I'm going through this, I'm going through that. These are the things that his family's going through are serious.
Yeah, that's an important note too for everybody listening. Is I have endless excuses in my life about why I shouldn't do this right now, and I'm ignoring every single one of them.
Yeah, and you at some point when you take that leap, you're not doing it for your wife. You're not doing it for anybody else besides yourself, because it's the right thing in the right moment in the right time, and you got to do it now. And you got to go all in and never let any of those people that are naysayers and going to bring you down. Get those people out of your life immediately, as fast as you can. And quit listening to them, because one day they'll come back around and asking for your opinion, asking for your money, asking for all this other crap.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, I hope you guys enjoyed the special on data centers. You know how to get a hold of us. See you next time. Maybe we'll bring Craig.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Good luck getting him on here.
Thank you.